In this video, we're going to take a look at a gray shimmering ink by Diamine Moon Dust. Now, as always, there's timestamps down below so you can skip around, but if you've got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. Also, down in the description is a link to the gray ink playlist, so if you wanted to see more grays, you could find that there. I'm an ink guy, and let's get into the first writing sample done on 90 GSM Clairfontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. Now I did adjust my lighting, but you see that sometimes it still is difficult, so I have to hold this at a bit of an angle here for us to see what's there. We have no feather, spread, halo sheen. There is shading in the stub, in the extra fine, and in the medium. In general, they're the same tone. The ink itself is very nice, very pencil-like with really standout shading. The shimmer truly covers it up. The extra fine took 7 seconds to dry while the medium took 14. The scrubby for both. The extra fine doesn't show as much color variation as the medium, but it's definitely in the writing. And the smear test you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. To have a range of experience with this ink, all of the writing samples are done with a Jinhao 159 with a 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a medium, and a Jinhao X750 with an extra fine. Then a Noodler's Ahab with a Fountain Pen Revolution Gold Flex Nib was inked up, used for a day, and used to take the notes for this video. The next writing sample is done on 52 GSM Tomoe River. No bleeding, no real ghosting. Here it works much better, still having a little bit of a problem. No feather, spread, halo sheen. Some of the shimmer's hiding, but there is shading in the extra fine. There is shading in the stub, in the extra fine, and in the medium. The shading shows itself best in the extra fine, and it shows itself best in the extra fine. You see when I hold it at an angle, and it just kind of goes away when it's down. They're all relatively the same tone. It's the amount of shimmer that's making them look quite different. The extra fine took 12 seconds to dry, while the medium took 20. Scrubby for both show good color variation, and it's definitely in the writing. And the smear test you could not recover if you smeared while you were writing. I agree with Vita. There's a lot to learn by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. A line of ink is put down, and then it's put in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we see the line of shimmer where the ink was put down, and the gray is moving really uniformly up. So it's bonding with the filter paper as it moves. Usually means it might become a bit resistant. Well, the one on the right that's allowed to dry for 10 minutes, a lot of that ink stayed in that line and didn't move, and only a little bit of it moved up, giving the impression that this might be a resistant ink. The next writing sample is done on 80 GSM Rhodia dot pad. No bleeding, no ghosting. We get no feather, spread, halo sheen. Again, some of the shimmer is really covering up the shading, but it's definitely there in the stub. I'm at more of an angle looking at it. It's really there very well in the extra fine. It's there in the medium. The medium's just a little bit darker than the extra fine and the stub. To be honest, again, it's the shimmer that's making them look much lighter than the medium. The extra fine took 9 seconds to dry, while the medium took 17. Scrubby for both give good color variation because it has it. And the smear test you could definitely recover if you smeared while you were writing. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink could be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it may be to clean from your pen. This smear is allowed to dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, there's a lot of blowout that's occurring that's making me not feel comfortable using it in a note-taking situation. It's the picture of this whole thing that shows you how difficult it is to get photographs and video of it because of the extreme amount of glitter that's here. And I just want to look at that in this video for that moment. Now, water is doing a lot to reactivate and lift most of this. You see it's very faint gray that's left behind. Oddly, pen flush did less than water did to remove it, though it did only take water to get it out of the pen. The 1/3 bleach solution, as has been the normal case, completely destroyed it. The next writing sample is done on G-Lalo paper. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. I just thought this one would be fun because it's a gray ink, gray shimmer, gray paper. So you see it's quite hard to see. The shimmer is really under control because it's a much more absorbent paper. We have no feather, spread, halo sheen. There's the lightest bit of shading, but the stub's coming through super light. The medium's coming through darker than the stub, but with good shading. The medium's coming through darker than the extra fine, still with a very good shading. Now the extra fine took 7 seconds to dry and the medium took 11. The scrubby for both showed color variation and it's definitely there. And the smear test, I'm not sure that you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average viscosity was 2.5 and the realm of normal was 2.1 to 2.9. Diamine's Moon Dust has a viscosity of 1.85, so this is a wet ink. If you're interested in how the viscosity test and the bell curve and all that silliness is done, then down in the description is a link to that video. The next writing sample is done on Apica CD notebooks. No bleeding, no ghosting. We're back to a little bit of shimmer affecting some of this. Now we have no feather, spread, halo sheen. The stub is still writing quite light. It does have some shimmer going, or some shading going on with the shimmer. The extra fine is again darker than the stub. It has much better shading. The medium is again much darker than the extra fine, much better shading. The extra fine took 6 seconds to dry while the medium took 10. Scrubby for both showed good color variation and it was definitely there. Much better, much easier to see in the medium. And the smear test you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average dry time was 17 seconds and the realm of normal was 13 to 21 seconds. Diamine's Moon Dust has an average dry time of 13 seconds, so it's right on the edge, but it is normal. The last writing sample is done on Franklin Christoph paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. A little bit more absorbent paper in the hope of taking control of some of the shimmer. We have no feather, spread, halo sheen. The extra fine's writing much drier than the stub's writing much drier than the extra fine or the medium, but it does show shading. The extra fine's darker than the stub with very good shading. The medium's the same tone as the extra fine with also very good shading, but you do see a lot of the shimmer really making it look lighter. It's reflective in the same way that if you were using pencil and you try to put a ton of it down to make it dark, it becomes reflective and starts looking lighter. The extra fine took 6 seconds to dry while the medium took 9. The scrubby for both do have good color variation. It's definitely there in the writing, and the smear test you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. Instead of finding inks that look like Diamine's Moon Dust, I'd prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I decided to go with a blue ink by Herbin, their Bleu Pervenche. Now, if you'd prefer a different complement color, then down in the description are links to those playlists. So what do I think of this shimmering ink by Diamine Moon Dust? This is a well done gray ink without the shimmer. The shimmer makes it jump off the page. Now, I don't know how popular this ink was back during that shimmer rise to power, but I think it should have been very popular. It is amazing to watch this dry. So what nib and pen are going to give the best writing experience with this ink? A super wet broad pen, of course. However, I really do like how this looks from a very wet fine, as long as you can have one where the feed can keep up. I hope you got something out of this video, and in the next video, we're going to take a look at KWZ's Menthol Green.